Good morning. Good morning, all. How the devil are you doing this fine day? Hope you're all fit and well. I've been looking at my diary for the days and weeks ahead, and it's all looking a little bit disjointed. I'm told, for example, that Monday is a spring back holiday here in the UK, so there will be no show on that day. I then have my colonoscopy booked for Wednesday, so I won't be here for that either. Now I've been told that I need to prepare for that colonoscopy on Tuesday. So I wasn't planning to be here for that one either. However, I am supposed to be taking my medication at 10 a.m. I've no idea quite how quickly it reacts, but I think I may take a chance and just try and squeeze in a quick half-hour show if you're going to be around on Tuesday or next week. I feel like I've missed far too many shows recently, and with plant works now looming large on the horizon, I want to squeeze in as many as I can. Oh, and by the way, and this is a big by the way, I'll be back here again at 1 p.m. this afternoon for our usual construction equipment news show. Now, I say usual, but this one will be slightly different to our usual fare because it will feature just one equipment manufacturer, and that equipment manufacturer is Bobcat. So if you'd like to be fully up to date with the latest developments from the kings of the compact equipment sector, then make sure you're here at 1 p.m. today. And if that's not enough of an incentive, then maybe this will be. Can I tempt you with, which is upside down, can I tempt you with an S750 skid steer loader model? We'll be giving that away this afternoon. So please be sure to join us. And just one final thing before we get started properly. Yesterday, we were the first to report on the fact that yet another demolition director has been disqualified as part of the CMA probe into bid rigging. I know Construction Inquirer reported on that this morning, but here is how we broke the story. The Competition and Markets Authority has announced it secured the disqualification of another demolition director involved in unlawful conduct. Nick Brown, a current director of Brown & Mason, has been disqualified for a period of 7 years. Brown & Mason was one of 10 UK demolition companies, each of them a member of the National Federation of Demolition Contractors, found to have been involved in collusion, bid rigging and price fixing. The company was fined £2.4 million for its involvement in a scandal that resulted in fines totaling almost £60 million. The CMA had previously secured the disqualification of 3 directors of companies involved in the unlawful conduct. Those are David Darcy, formerly a director of Erith for a period of 5 years and 10 months, Michael Cantillon, formerly a director of Cantillon for 7 years and 6 months, and Paul Kluski, current director of Cantillon, who was disqualified for 4 years and 6 months. I'm now beginning to wonder if and when that fallout will subside. It seems to just go on and on and on. Now, without further ado, let me roll the intro, post the reintroduced question of the day, and get this show properly on the road. Now, I said I was posting my question of the day, which hasn't worked, but let me try it again. It's worked this time. But we have another question of the day, sort of, from our friends at X-Watch Safety Solutions, who say, morning, gang. Thank you for that. Who's coming to Plant Works? I am. Anybody else got an answer for that? Please let us know. Who is going to X-Watch? Who is going to Plant Works, rather? Who's going to pop by and see the fine folks at X-Watch? And my other question of the day, which I've already posted there, is what is your favourite holiday destination? We'll come back to that in just a bit. But it is Friday, the 25th of May. Welcome to the Breakfast Show. I am your host, Mark Anthony. In today's show, we're going to take a closer look at a pair of brand new compact excavators from the fine folks at Kobelco. Bomag sets compaction on the road to remote operation, and gold goes green. It'll make sense when we get there. Plus, nothing can contain a Liebherr. And we'll get to all of that in just a second. But first, let us peer back through the mists of time to see what was happening on this very day in history. And on this day in 1805, Napoleon Bonaparte was crowned King of Italy. Of course, that's a title that's held today by Paolo Maldini. Football fans will understand. In 1897, Irish author Bram Stoker saw his fairly popular book, Dracula, published for the first time, and it remains a tale that refuses to lie down and die to this very day. In 1940, a helicopter designed by Igor Sikorsky became the first helicopter to take flight in the US. In 1967, EMI released Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band by the Beatles. And in 2018, Real Madrid beat Liverpool 3-1 to win the Champions League. Zinedine Zidane, my all-time footballing idol, became the first manager to win the title on 3 consecutive occasions. Brilliant player, just as good as a manager. Now, before we get into the real meat of the show, let me remind you of our question of the day, like this. And it looks like I'm going to find myself at odds with the audience today. My question of the day was, what is your favourite holiday destination? And one that's came in nice and early, when I can spot it. Mick Norton says, Gibraltar. I've done a couple of Mediterranean cruises that have called by Gibraltar. My least favourite part of the whole trip. To the point where we're looking at doing another one, and I won't be getting off the boat. Didn't get Gibraltar at all. Maybe that's probably says more about me than it says about anybody else. So there you are. But yes, our question of the day is, what is your favourite holiday destination? Is it somewhere you've been before and like to go back to? Or is it somewhere that's been on your bucket list for a while? Personally, if I was going back somewhere, I'd be going back to Barcelona because I love it, but I still want to tick off Canada. Visited their noisy neighbours in the US more times than I can actually count or remember, but I've never been to Canada. No idea why. So let us know yours in the chat, and we'll come back to that at the end of the show. Right, where are we? Yes, I was planning to show you the next film on yesterday's show, but something went squiffy, and for once, it actually wasn't me. However, we've now removed the gremlins, and I'm delighted to share with you this detailed look at a pair of brand new Kobelco compact excavators.
Today, we're at Ogaki Factory in Japan, and this is the place where our mini excavators are produced. We will introduce you to our new minis in the 3-ton range, the SK34SR-7 and the SK39SR-7. These new models replace the previous SK30SR-6E and SK35SR-6E and offer increased engine performance, improved operability, an updated cabin interior, and easier maintenance. The new SK34SR and SK39SR mini excavator not only stands out in performance with greater efficiency and productivity, but it also stands out in design. The machines are built around the operator and give you the comfort and operability you need without making compromises. Its high quality and innovation, which is undiminished by the mini excavator's size, is Kobelco's answer to the question of the mini excavator's future. The new models deliver superior performance thanks to their increased engine output from 17.8 to 18.9 kilowatts. Their larger bucket cylinders from 65 to 70 millimeters also result in a 15% increase in bucket digging force from 27.8 to 32 kilonewtons. In addition, the boom cylinder bore has been increased from 80 to 85 millimeters for improved lifting capacity. Compared to previous models, the new hydraulic system is significantly improved, which thereby shortens the digging cycle time remarkably. Demands of comfort and excellence in interior are growing. Operators require a comfortable cabin with improved operability, which allows them to focus on operation. By replacing the sliding door for a hinge type, it increased the entrance space by 15 centimeters. The improved functionality and design resulted in a new operator-friendly interior, which gives you the feeling you're operating a Kobelco heavy excavator. For the versatility of the SK34SR-7 and SK39SR-7, there are many different options available. In addition to the usual different arm and piping options, we also have a floating dozer and a 4-way angle dozer. This angle option provides 25 degrees left and right angle movement for clearing, grading, and backfilling. Visibility is an important update. By changing the wiper motor position, installing a bigger skylight, rear view and rear undermirror, and standard 2 LED lights, we improved the visibility. The new SK34 and SK39 are Stage 5 compliant machines, which makes it an environmentally friendly machine. By using the standard or the eco work mode, you can balance between your high performance or low fuel consumption. Kobelco's innovative integrated noise and dust reduction system is a superior method of noise suppression that promotes low noise, exceptional engine cooling, enhanced reliability, minimal machine downtime, and a more comfortable working environment for the operator. This and all other new specs make the SK34SR-7 and SK39SR-7 a mini excavator ready for the future. Kobelco.
Yes, I saw those machines when I was in Verona earlier this month. They looked great there, but they looked even better in the film. Now, Dan Cullen has asked, let me have a look when I can find it. Wow, those little Kobelcos look great, powerful machines. Are Kobelco going to be at Plantworks? Well, as quick as a flash, Plantworks responded to say, when I can get it to play, not in their own right, but Molson, obviously their UK dealer, will have some in the operator challenge area. So you'll actually be able to see Kobelco machines in action, which is fantastic to see. We'll come back to all of that in just a second. There you are. Molson also have their own event. You should go down. It's a great day out in Bristol. Is that not a contradiction in terms? Great day out, Bristol? Just saying. Yes, we'll come back to we'll come back to all that before we completely alienate our Bristolian viewers. I need one of these, I think. Earlier this week, 2 days ago, in fact, I got to spend some proper time operating a machine via remote control. You can actually see part of that experience on the this afternoon's episode of Construction Equipment News. I came away absolutely inspired. So inspired, in fact, that it's going to be the subject of my weekly column, which will drop early next week. It won't drop on Monday, as usual, because it's a bank holiday, but it will drop on Tuesday. But it appears, getting back to the subject of remote control, it appears that Bobcat are not the only company with their eyes on a remotely controlled future. Yeah, bearing in mind the need to achieve optimum compaction, the ability to have the operator on the ground checking progress, I reckon could be invaluable. What do you think? And I have to say, after half an hour playing with the Bobcat Max control, and I'll show you that this afternoon, I'm sold. I am properly sold. But maybe not for the reasons that you might think, but I'm sold. Tune in this afternoon, I'll tell you more. Now, for our next two films, we're going to stray just a little from our usual focus on construction equipment, but I think you'll enjoy the change of scenery, to be honest. In a minute or two, we're going to show you how gold mines are embracing the need for sustainability. But first, we're headed for the harbour in the company of the mighty Liebherr.
The Bayernhafen is a freight hub and thus supply relevant for Bamberg and the region and beyond. We handled 450,000 tons of goods last year, of which about 75% were agricultural products. And we are very proud of the fact that we have been able to save 26,000 truck trips, and thus also reduce the CO2 balance, because CO2 emissions are of course significantly lower as a result. We use the telescopic handler for various activities at our port. A multifunctional machine at the site was very important to us. We use the telescopic handler for cleaning roads, for maintaining green areas, for winter services if necessary, but also for loading and unloading transport vehicles, especially container trains or truck unloading. For us, it was very important that we could stack at least 4 layers, and we can do that with the telescopic handler. We have rough terrain, because of course we do not have paved areas everywhere, but also green areas. We are agile on the road there too and also compact where needed. In fact, the telescopic handler is not operated with diesel, but with HBO, a plant hydrogenated fuel that can replace diesel by 100% and thus takes environmental considerations into account, because it simply emits less CO2 than a normal diesel vehicle. We are very satisfied with the Liebherr telescopic handler because it can provide us with the multifunctionality we need. The employees like to work with the machine and therefore my employees are very satisfied with it.
We
work in the harbour near the quay wall. There we have danger of falling. We have to take care of people so that nothing happens.
Heute steige ich auf die Maschine auf.
And today I get on the machine with a confident feeling. You can work with it safely. You have a good feeling working with it.
Great film and an even better machine. Thank you for your comment there, Dan. I absolutely agree. That Liebherr telehandler really does look the bee's knees. Yes, it does. The cat's pajamas also is how it looks. Yeah, let's not get into that. Let me have one of these because one more film to play, and then we can all start talking about holiday destinations and plant works. For some people, they're the same thing.
Since the finance bill came into effect in April, the construction industry has seen a surge of fuel thefts. The rising cost of living has placed an additional risk of theft by employees and contractors, as well as opportunistic thieves. By using diesel dye and placing warnings of its use, you are sending a clear message that this is your fuel.
Here in the world of demolition and construction, we are very much focused on all things environmental and on the need to maximise sustainability. Well, it turns out we're not alone. Mining is playing its part too, and as you're about to see, gold is going green.
We get 18 meters of snow average a year here. We are on top of a mountain, so we operate our own 76-kilometer access road from the highway, and 11 kilometers of that is on a glacier. So we operate a glacier road, we operate avalanche control, we operate snow clearing teams, and it's just a really challenging environment up here.
We have avalanche techs that do control blasts and do surveys along this area. We move around 4,000 to 5,000 tons per day of ore from underground, with additional 2,200 to 2,500 tons of development waste.
Our deliverable was to bring new technology to the mine site to replace diesel engines. Our first priority was to improve the air, the atmosphere underground for our mining team. So trialing the Z50 truck for us was really the first step towards battery electrification of our fleet. The opportunity to partner with Sandvik became paramount for us to push through the trial and then ultimately move through with the Z50 procurement plan.
Electrification was always something that was interesting to us. The trial started with just one truck, and our goals were we set a set of KPIs at the beginning of the trial, and we wanted to see if that one truck was going to be able to hit those KPIs, then transition our entire fleet over to battery Z50s.
Part of the electrification journey at Bruce Jack began with understanding and trialing a single Z50 truck in our haulage fleet. We set up KPIs for that trial period to understand what its benefits will be from a productivity standpoint. Even though the environmental benefits are fairly well known with the reduction of heat and noise and removing diesel from the equation, we want to be sure that the business case was solid for proceeding with the Z50 truck fleet. So the primary KPIs that we looked at were payload, travel speeds, and cycle times in comparison to the existing diesel fleet. Equipment availability was a key aspect of our assessment. Would the electric trucks and the electric technology be reliable enough and available in order to meet our production demands? So in each of the key KPI areas that we were looking at, we saw noticeable improvements compared to the existing diesel fleet. Overall, we saw a 22% decrease in our cycle times for the average haul cycle while we were doing the assessment. So we currently have a fleet of 7 trucks, with the 8th truck arriving here shortly. Thus far, with our 7 truck fleet, we've seen an average availability of 92%.
Availability's been really good. The numbers started coming out, and it is quite a bit more productive than the diesel trucks. And as we started to have a bigger fleet, then more and more employees were like, oh yeah, this thing's way faster, it's way quieter. I feel a lot more comfortable at the end of the day. And it also has a really good ESG aspect to it. We're reducing thousands of tons of carbon from our operation.
We're able to consistently achieve 14 kilometers an hour up-ramp travel speeds while loaded with the Z50s, compared to around 9 to 10 kilometers an hour loaded up-ramp with the existing diesel fleet.
We're seeing added value across the board when it comes to our production, the speed of those trucks, the cycle times on them. If we have a fully loaded Z50, we're in the 43, 44 ton range. So you're looking at double the tons at X amount of time faster up-ramp. That's a huge bonus for us. You're providing your workers a cleaner environment to work in and a more productive environment. So why not, right? It's a no-brainer for us.
Total hours on a Z50 is probably around 1,100 or so. I enjoy the quiet in the cab for sure, way more. Although I do use earplugs still, I'm less tired, less fatigued by the end of the day because of that background sound is gone.
We're able to show market improvements in productivity in addition to the environmental benefits. In total, we've removed over 3,200 horsepower of diesel-powered equipment from underground through the transition from diesel trucks to electric.
By replacing our diesel trucks underground at the Bruce Jack mine, we were able to save the hauling of almost 5,000 liters of diesel fuel per day up over the glacier, which is a significant safety improvement for us.
There's a capital cost that comes with making the switch, but looking like 3 to 5 years down the road, I think everyone's going to want to say they had swapped over sooner, and I think the time's now to do so.
For companies that are interested in battery electric technology, I highly recommend that they reach out to Sandvik and start the discussion now to get in line and start their own battery electric journey. Sandvik for us has been a great partner to work with and helped us along the design implementation and execution of the battery electric project at the Brucejack mine.
What a brilliant film. Hats off to everyone involved. Nice to see that even in the pursuit of gold, mining companies are putting the planet first. Now, going to throw that one up. Ed Butler, half of the dynamic duo, is currently in sunny Tenerife. And yet, despite the allure of the Mediterranean, it is the Mediterranean, right? He is still tuned in. Morning, Ed. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. Lots more in the chat, but I'll come back to all of that in just a second. I like a bit of gold. Don't we all, Ken? Don't we all? Now, I think we need a bit of this. Is it possible to have a gripe that doesn't actually affect you directly? Apparently it is. So we find ourselves in the midst of a cost of living crisis. People up and down the country are struggling to pay their bills, struggling to put food on the table, and struggling to keep a roof over their head. This is a situation not of their making. The global economy, the greed of the energy companies, and the ineptitude of governments have allowed the situation to spiral out of control. Through no fault of their own, some people have found themselves falling behind on their bill payments. So what do we do with those that owe money? We make them owe more money. We impose fines. We hit them with interest payments, and we offer them high interest loans that they will never be able to repay. If someone has an issue with drugs or alcohol, they're offered counselling and rehab to set them back on the path to recovery. But if people find themselves in a financial hole, we offer them a shovel and tell them to keep digging. We live in an age in which we're supposedly more enlightened on the subject of mental health, and yet we have no issue heaping more financial pressure on people that have already buckled under the weight. Doesn't make any sense, does it? Anyway, that's my gripe of the day. I'd love to hear yours. What is it that grinds your gears, gets you goat, and generally butters your parsnips? The daily gripe therapy session will return at some point. That pretty much wraps up the main part of this morning show. Also wraps up this working week. I'm going to roll the outro in just a second before leaping gazelle-like over into the chat to see what you're all saying today. If you can't stick around for that, then please stay safe. Look after yourself, your family, your friends, and your colleagues, particularly those that are struggling financially at the moment. But if you do have the time and the inclination, I'll see you on the other side of this for what is now known as the Craic, because, you know, why would we not? It's Friday. And we're going to be talking holidays. We're going to be talking plant works. We're going to be talking electric machines and probably a whole lot more besides. Before we do that, here is a final word from our key show sponsor. Turn that music down a touch. Sounds about right. Good morning, gang. How are we all this fine morning? Sun shining. My dogs are sunbathing as we speak, which is always a good sign. Dan Cullen has made up for the fact that he forgot to tune in yesterday. How on earth do you forget to tune into this? But he's made up for it by being the very first off the line this morning, top of the morning, ladies and lads. He says, good morning to you, Dan. Thank you very much indeed for being here. I'm sure you've got more to say more on a bit later on. Great to see you made it back to Blighty Mark. You brought the sunshine with you. Yeah, this is just one of the many public services that we offer here on the Breakfast Show. We pop over to the Czech Republic, we grab the sun, stick it in our excess baggage, and we haul it back. Least we can do. Kerry Jones is watching as well. It's quick, trust me, he says. Not sure what that's about, but I'm sure what this one's about. Plant works. How long till plant works, Lou? 18 days. 18 days. Hardly seems worth broadcasting next week. It's almost upon us, people. Justin Carrigan. Good morning, Justin Carrigan, over at Awesome Earth Movers. Morning all. Hope you're all well. Happy Friday, and happy Friday to you, Justin. Please pass on my very best wishes to the Awesome Earth Movers team. A fine bunch of chaps they are as well. Ken Hatcher. Good morning. I'm washing the dust off my car. Nice 4 days off work. Well planned, Ken. get the Friday, get the Saturday, the Sunday, and get the Monday this week as well. Fair play to you. I have to admit, as much as I enjoy a bank holiday, and I do, it's not in the fishing season, so I don't get to do much. I'd completely forgotten that this was a bank holiday, and it has rather thrown out my my schedule for next week. So just to recap, in case you weren't here at the beginning of the show, I do have my medical procedure next week. So the plan is to take Monday off, be here Tuesday, even if it's only briefly because of the preparations for that medical procedure. Won't be here Wednesday because that's what's happening, and then I'll be back Thursday and Friday. Hopefully we'll be back on track by then. And then hopefully we'll get in a week uninterrupted before we do all pack our bags and head off for the East of England Showground and Plant Works. Mick Norton's in the house. Morning, Mick. Hope the sun is shining upon you. It certainly should be, for you are among the righteous. As is Gary Muirhead. Good morning, Mark. Good morning, guys. Happy Friday, everyone, and a happy Friday to you as well, Mr. Muirhead. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. Let's have a look. There's lots of backhanders and rigging going along, and worse, I think it will get now. Listen, I'm not naive. This whole collusion thing didn't come out of left field. I think we're all aware of the construction industry's regular use of the brown envelope in negotiations. I'm well aware of that. But 4 directors of major demolition firms in the UK, all of whom, I have to say it, all of whom are members of the National Federation of Demolition Contractors. Doesn't look good, does it? It really doesn't. There we are. Now, my question today was this: what is your favourite holiday destination? And as I said when I first threw it up on the screen, it can be a place that you've been before and you'd like to go back to, or it's a place that is on your bucket list. My place that I'd like to go back to, Barcelona. Any excuse to go to Barcelona, although I have to say Prague, go back there in a heartbeat. But places I'd like to visit, then top of the list would certainly be Canada. Going to require some convincing of my wife because she does hot holidays. She doesn't like the idea of going anywhere a bit chilly. And I realise Canada has decent weather as well. But yeah, I have some convincing to do. X-Watch, our friends at X-Watch asked who is going to Plant Works. Quick as a flash, Dan Cullen. And it's just as well, Dan. I think you should make your way over to the X-Watch stand because apparently we have a huge launch. Is there any such thing as a small launch? I don't believe there is. A huge launch, a collab with Leica, the missing link in safety. I'm all about plugging the missing link in safety, so I shall be there. But thank you very much indeed for being here to the fine folks at X-Watch, and keep up the good work, ladies and gents. In answer to the question of the day, Florida, I think, sat on the beach watching the space shuttle take off. In a list of 50 US states that I'd like to visit, I think Florida would probably be about number 49. Just me. I'm gonna err towards Gary Muirhead, who comes up a little bit later in the chat. Mark Whiting is here. Good morning, Mark. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. Yes, Gibraltar. The less said about Gibraltar, to me at least, the better. So here's one of my experiences from Gibraltar. And I realise this is merely a snapshot, and it doesn't necessarily speak for the entire island as a whole. But we docked in Gibraltar, and we, gently. We weren't in any great hurry. It's not a big place, so we gently strolled off the boat, the ship, made our way along, and we were strolling around having a look. Decided there wasn't a lot in it for us. So about an hour or two later, we started to head back from the ship, and we were walking alongside somebody who was heading in the same direction, going to the ship. And the man in question had been ashore, and he had bought himself a 3-pack of Pringles and a set of screwdrivers, because apparently they're about 50p cheaper in Gibraltar. I'm not saying that's necessarily enough to turn me off of an entire nation. But the next time we went back, I stayed on the boat. Didn't get Gibraltar at all. Didn't get to see the apes. I did get to see a high-reach demolition excavator work in the pulp, though, so it wasn't always. Jim Turner's in the house. Morning, Jim. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. Dan Cullen says, not really a holiday person, but somewhere with a beach and in the UK is fine for me for a few days, get bored easily. That's why I have the groups and other stuff. I get bored easily. I'm pleased about that, and that's why I go fishing. And this is where Gary Muirhead and I are of one mind. Question of the day, holiday destination, it's got to be New York. Just love the place. Yep, you and me both. It's one of the few places. First time I went to Vegas, I got the feeling, but New York probably more than any place I've ever visited. I was walking around thinking, I cannot believe I am here. I cannot believe that I'm looking at the Empire State Building or the Chrysler Building or the Statue of Liberty. I could not believe I was there, riding around in a yellow taxi. Absolutely blown away, and would go back in a heartbeat. Incidentally, while we were in Prague, sat there eating Wiener Schnitzel, because why wouldn't you? Looking on Skyscanner, there's some very good deals. I think it was British Airways are doing some very good deals to New York at the moment, about 300 quid. I say that's a good deal, compared to the prices of today. A couple of years ago, you could get there for 150 quid, but 300 quid, not bad at all. Question of the day, 4 days enough for me, a few times a year. I do quite like the idea of 10, 14 days. Just go and just bait tune out. Kerry Jones is going very extreme here. Safari tour in Rwanda. How did that ever come about? Did they get a good marketing agency at Rwanda? Because a few years ago, Rwanda was famous for basically two things. Civil war and guerrilla murder. And then fast forward to now, where I regularly watch the football on TV, and there are adverts for holiday trips to Rwanda. How the hell did they fix that public image? Lord alone knows. Plymouth or Cornwall, says Dan Cullen. Yeah, if I'm going that way, Dorset all day long. Don't mind a bit of Devon, but Cornwall, it's a long way, and it's bloody hilly. It's hilly, and my calves, well, I say my calves don't do hilly, having just returned from Prague and having visited the castle way up on top of the hill there. Turns out my calves do hills. They just bloody hurt afterwards. James Doble, our occasional but very welcome visitor, is back. Morning, James. I hope you're feeling fit and well, my friend. Is this a dialysis day, or are you just free and easy? Are you freewheeling this morning? But either way, you're welcome back. Glenn Johnston is in the house. Morning, Glenn. Thank you very much for being here. I'm going to be honest, Mick. That was my feeling as well. Being shepherded by cruise liner will be my nightmare excursion. Totally agree. Totally 100% agree. I've got a very good friend, Mr. John Woodward, formerly of C&D Consultancy. I say formerly, he still does some work for them, but he doesn't own it anymore. He and his wife, the lovely Jill, are big fans of cruising. And they were extolling the virtues to myself and the long-suffering Mrs. Demolition News. And we said exactly the same. Yeah, no, we like to come and go as we please. We're not really people. My wife is, I'm not. So, the idea of being on board a boat where you can't escape from the people you're on there with, absolutely hateful. Well, turns out that John and Jill had a freebie. They had a free ticket to go on a mini cruise to Bruges and then on to Amsterdam. And they gave it to us. And we went as a foursome, and it was brilliant. There was no herding. I'm not in the business of selling cruises here, take it or leave it, but there was no herding. We came and went as we pleased, ate like kings, lounged around quite a bit, and had a fine old time, to the point where we got back and literally got back from Amsterdam and booked our first Mediterranean cruise, and we've done several since. Best thing about cruises, by far, that thing that I was talking about earlier in the week about the struggles of actually getting through airports now? None of that. You arrive, in our instance, we arrived at Southampton, park the car, walk on the boat, I keep saying boat, walk on the ship, and your holiday has begun. The restaurants are open, the bars are open, and somebody else is taking care of the driving. It's your holiday is about a day and a bit longer because you haven't got the tools you're going through, passport controls and so on. But as I say, each their own. I really wish that this system could translate text, because our friend Fetty is back. Good morning to you again. Thank you for being here. I wish I knew what you were saying. I wish I knew where you were watching from. I wish I could communicate more clearly, but unfortunately I can't. Dan Cullen likes the Kobelcos. I'm not sure if those ones will be there, but Kobelco most certainly will be present and correct at Plantworks as part of the Molson setup. And as the team at Molson, as the team at Plantworks have said, it's not that one. Yes, there will be some in the Operator Challenge, but Molson do have their own event. As I said, it's a bit of a contradiction in terms. A great day out in Bristol. To my mind, you get one or the other. You don't get both together. But yes, they are most certainly doing precisely that. They are having an open day. Right, okay, so just to be clear, for those of you that that's not just a random comment, that is actually aimed at something. I have a colonoscopy on Wednesday next week, which means I need to prepare for it on Tuesday next week. And as Kerry Jones has kindly said, you've got roughly half an hour before all hell breaks loose. So I think what I may do in that case is I may start the show, chug down the medication, clench a bit, and hope I can make it to the end. It will be a foreshortened show. We won't be doing any of this because frankly I won't be able to, but I will try and be here on Tuesday. So watch this space on that. Mick Norton says, 4-way dozer application, innovative for Kobelco. Absolutely. Dan Cullen says, that'd be a great idea. Thank you, Plantworks team. Not thought of that. So that's Molson and JCB. Must get to. You do need to go to JCB. You do. Even if you do nothing more than go to the JCB Experience, the museum next door, go to JCB. It will make you very, very proud of British manufacturing once again. Bobcat watched you on Instagram. Now, I don't know whether that means Bobcat watched me on Instagram or you saw me on Instagram with Bobcat. Not sure which way around that is, but yes, either way. And I'm going to say, I'm not sure if he's still here, but I'm going to say a very good morning to my mate Jan over at Bobcat. He will be tuning in this afternoon. I think he was here this morning as well. Took enormously good care of us. And I'm singling out Jan. They all did, but Jan in particular was incredibly helpful and gave us his full and undivided attention while we were in the Czech Republic. So thanks again for that, Jan. Look for and Jan is going to Plantworks as well. Bobcat have a stand there. Jan is coming over from the Czech Republic, and he really is a smashing fella. So if you get a chance, go see him. Go and say hello. Dan Cullen says, I'd be a bit wary of larger remote control rollers. Won't feel the same. Wondering about safety issues, people walking around, distraction to the operator on the ground, ? All valid points. All valid points. As I said, I've written the column for next week. I had something of an epiphany t'other day. On, let me think, Tuesday this week rather. I won't give the game away too much, but my son and heir, Fred, despite the fact that he spent the best part of 7, maybe even 8 years shadowing me about the place and photographing and filming diggers, he doesn't drive them. Never has. He's sat in quite a few at exhibitions, but because he's there to film, he's usually over there and the machines are over here. So never the twain shall meet. He does not and has not ever operated a machine. We went to Bobcat. Bobcat handed him the Max Control, which basically fits one of these. No training, no explanation. He just pressed the on switch and he started to drive a skid steer loader. And I do genuinely mean that. It wasn't a case of, okay, what is the reverse and the forward function? How do you raise and lower the boot? He just literally picked it up and was off. And it all set me thinking, and I'm going to come back to it. There's another point from our friend Ken Hatcher in a minute about electric machines. I'll come back to that in just a second. I think I've spent far too long focused upon the impact of remote control operation on the operator of today. It's not for you. It's not for me. There will come a you know that thing that we always say, oh, you know, if you're in a remote control, it doesn't feel the same. If you're an electric machine, it doesn't sound the same. You've got no indication. You've got no plumes of smoke, no vibration. All of those are valid points, but they're only valid points if that's what you've grown up with, if that's what you've experienced. There will come a time when there will be operators that will not know the sound of diesel engines. They will not know the smell of diesel. They will not know of plumes of smoke. And they will not know of sitting in the cab full time. To them, somebody says, okay, go drive the digger. They'll fire that up. As I say, I understand your objections because your objections are precisely the same as mine. But it is in the same way as Harry Styles' fashion choices and Sam Smith's Smithness. It's not for us. It's not for us, and there will come a time. And just to prove that there's nothing new under the sun, Mick Norton says Royal Engineers bomb disposal teams have used remote controlled items of engineering plant for over 50 years. Yeah, it's very easy to. Do you know one of the things that I always find remarkable? Fun enough, when we were talking to our friends at C&D Consultancy a little while ago, Matthew Bargett made exactly the same point. We talk about remote controlled demolition robots, Brocs to you and I, as being newfangled. They've been around for about 30 years. It's not new. I mean, I realise the idea of a demolition robot is it sounds quite revolutionary. 3 decades we've had that. Question of the day. In this country, Jim Turner says, has to be Northumberland. I can fully understand that. Abroad, been to probably Kefalonia, and bucket list is New Zealand. Holiday or to live? I understand the appeal, Jim. Just remember, as I've said to you before, that does mean you'll have to get up in the middle of the night to watch this show because, you know, frankly, it wouldn't be the same without you. There's our friend Fetty again, but unfortunately can't understand. Telehandler looks the bee's knees. There is our friend whose name now, did we discover this guy's name? I believe we did, and I can't remember what it is, but good morning to you. Was Vlad. I'm fairly sure his name is Vlad, but good morning. Hello, Demolition News, and good morning to you as well. Thank you for being here. Would be interested to view Liebherr's telehandler capability for lifting of suspended loads and any automatic D-rate technology fitted for attachments. Liebherr's website will probably give you all of that and a whole lot more. See, it does work. Just where is all the electric coming from? A good point. A good point. Well made. It's something that needs to be addressed, but you know, we are on borrowed time with fossil fuels. We need to find an alternative, and if that means major investment in sustainable power, wind, solar, wave power, nuclear energy, whatever it might be, we have got to find a solution because we can't carry on the way we're going. We're already in a final mess as a planet. We can't keep going that way. Think global warming, and think of those that are enjoying global warming, he said, transitioning very quickly. Morning all from sunny Tenerife. I don't know if anybody's actually seen this, but I'm fairly sure that it flashed across my screen yesterday that Ed Butler actually has a beach towel featuring himself and his sidekick, his trusty sidekick, Steve Williamson. Can you believe the vanity of the pair of them? Fair play to you. I'd love one. Mick Norton. Last post should read D-rate, not debate. I think I picked that up. That's okay. I like a bit of gold, says Ken Hatcher. Yeah, absolutely. I think I'm coming to Plant Works on Wednesday. No ticket, though. Let me sort that out for you, Ken. If you go to the chat right about now, you will see exactly how you pre-register, and they take care of it for you. Yes, that's there. The chat is chatting. Plantworks have just said good morning to Justin Carrigan. I echo that. What's grinding my gears today? Dan, you only ever complain about being on site. I think there's a reason for that, because you're only ever on site. What's grinding my gears today is foreman from other company not listening to reason, get the whole field up for the weekend, but he wants in layers. And I said, fill it up, and on Tuesday we take down and get pad roller on it as it's full of water. That probably makes more sense if you're looking at it, but there you are. Hey Mark, any giveaways from Bobcat? How about that? How about let me see. It's a 1:25 scale model die-cast collectible. That right there is a Bobcat S750 skid steer loader, and that will be up for grabs at 1 p.m. today. Thank you for reminding me on that, Dan. I did come back. I did come back with this. If I can find it. I have myself, I think it's known as a gilet. It was a body warmer back in the day, but it's a gilet now, apparently. I've got myself a navy blue Bobcat gilet. There's a bit of me that wants to give it away, but it's a bit of me that big. There's a bit of me that big that wants to keep it, and I'm going to do precisely that. It fits me a treat. It looks fantastic. It's staying in my wardrobe. But there is a model up for grabs 1 p.m. this afternoon on Construction Equipment News. Just to be clear, if you're watching this on Facebook, we'll be there. If you're watching on LinkedIn or YouTube or Twitter, we'll be there too. Wherever you're watching right now, we'll be there 1 p.m. this afternoon. And the entire show, 100% of the content, 98% of the content will be Bobcat. We're also going to throw in a bit of a Plantworks, because obviously Bobcat are going to be there. And frankly, we like to talk about Plantworks as well. That's a big mine site. Next week, not sure what that is. Question 8. I prefer to stay in the UK and support local economies. See, I wish I was that dedicated to the British economy, but I really, really, really like foreign food. What can I tell you? Mick Norton says, lengthy custodial sentences is the only deterrent construction directors will understand. I'm beginning to believe you could be right. And yes, the attractions at Plantworks just continue to pile up. Obviously, you get to see me. I mean, that should be enough, frankly, but you get to see me. You get to see Lou Carney, you get to see Gaz Evans, you get to see Bobcat, you get to see Molson and their Kobelco, but you also have the opportunity to meet the prince among men, who is Ed Butler. He's going to be on the Auger Talk and Ken's Offer stand. Go watch him. He is very good. And sometimes, I don't know if he's doing it this time, but sometimes he gives out sweeties. I think that's how I discovered him, actually. Sweet tooth. Mark, as press, you get to see the X-Watch launch on Monday. That's the Monday of the show, presumably. I'm just going to take a wild stab at that. X-Watch, I'd like to meet up with you guys, also at Plantworks. The queue at the X-Watch stand is growing already. Now, let's have a look. Colleen Murphy says, oi, oi. Colleen, I don't remember seeing you here before. I'm going to say oi, oi back, and I'm also going to give you some welcome confetti. Thank you very much indeed for being here. You're very welcome. Let's go back to the chat. Let's have a look. On demo tour with Steve Williamson. Okay. Dialysis day is nearly done for James Doble. I'm starting to learn a little about dialysis, because my father-in-law is still on the cusp of going through that. Sounds like crap, to be honest. So hope you feel better. Well, I hope you're feeling fit and well when it's all done and dusted. Just bought a hybrid car. It's the future, says Ed Butler. I've got a hybrid car too. I agree. It is the future. Mick Norton says, when I first sat in the controls of a Cat DAH dozer in 1964, my instructor told me, always listen to the pitch of the engine, the rise and fall of the bonnet to maintain maximum productivity. Modern technology cannot reconcile with my mentor's advice 58 years ago. I heard a quote last night from the American comedian Dave Chappelle, who was talking about how we judge what we now believe to be transgressions that were perfectly acceptable back in the day. And what he actually said was, I don't get angry at a photograph that was taken yesterday, because it was yesterday. You're absolutely right. All of those instructions from your instructor there, rise and fall of the bonnet, the pitch of the engine, all absolutely 100% valid 58 years ago. I think they are relevant today, but there will come a time when they are not. I have driven a Tesla several times, actually. There is no engine noise, there is no plumes of smoke. It is just a very, very, very good car. Very fast car as well, but it's a very, very good car. Did it render me unable to drive? No, it did not. There will come a time when people, much the same as we've gone from, you used to learn in a manual car and then possibly transition to an automatic at some point in the future when you got bored with gear changes. We adopted to that and we adapted to that. The same thing will apply. I think one of the issues that we have at the moment is the fact that with remote control and autonomous and hydrogen and electric, we are currently betwixt and between. We are neither fish nor fowl at the moment. I think the people that tend to watch this show are those that are clinging on to the past. But there is also another generation, like my son Fred, who, as I say, played with a remote control skid steer, who cannot wait to get started on the future. We are muddy in the waters at the moment because we're not in the past, we're not in the future, we're at that slightly weird bit in the middle. But there will come a time. I wonder, just on that subject, if that was the advice, listen to the pitch of the engine, rise and fall of the bonnet to retain maximum productivity. That was perfectly valid on a diesel machine back in the 60s. I wonder what the advice for an electric machine will be. What will be the equivalent of that going forward? What will be the equivalent on a hydrogen machine going forward? Let's have a look. Monday the 12th of June is a press preview of the Get Connected and Sim Zones of the X and the X-Watch Leica launch. Kind of throws out my plans, to be honest. I'll figure that out. My original plan, because it does require me to be away for quite some time, what I thought was going to be my plan for Plant Works was to arrive in the evening, early evening, but in the evening, so I could do my show on the Monday before, and then crack on with the show for the Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. May have to change that slightly. We'll see. Have a wonderful weekend, everyone, and stay safe, says Dan Cullen. Yeah, perfectly good suggestion. And that is an hour. That is an hour of anyone's money. So, everybody, please go and have a splendiferous weekend. I hope the sun is shining wherever you are, even if that's not your thing. I hope the sun is shining where you are. I'll see you back here on Tuesday, filled with pre-colonoscopy medication with a slightly concerned look on my face. So I'll be here on Tuesday, I'll be here on Thursday, I'll be here on Friday, all things being equal. Have a great long weekend. Enjoy Saturday, enjoy Sunday, and really enjoy Monday, because you don't get too many days off for nothing. Everybody, go and have a fantastic time. I'll see you very soon. Thank you for all your contributions today, as ever. And James Doble, go put your feet up, my friend. You've more than deserved it. Everybody else, have a fantastic time, and I'll see you after the weekend. In fact, I'll see you on Tuesday. Till then, all the best.